God, guys, welcome back to Tuesday Tales. I'm sorry, I might be getting this video out late. And I'm also sorry I got a few other episodes or last episode out so late, and just something weird happened with a couple of of my videos that they just apparently I don't think they got blocked or deleted, but I think something weird happened. Weird may have glitched or something. But anyway, today's story shall be about Romulus and Remus, the sons of the wolf, which actually might be fairly long because I'm looking at it now, and which, to be honest, I don't look at the books before I it's always before I read them. But I just decided to do it now, and there was a good I'll say 4 or 5 pages in this one. Anyway, let's get started. The Trojan War was over. The proud city had been set on fire and destroyed. Most of the defenders of Troy had been slain. One of them, Aeneas, had escaped, carrying his old father on his shoulders out of the burning city. Homeless and heartsick, Aeneas roamed out for many years. The story of his long wanderings is told in the 12 books of the Aeneid, an epic poem by Virgil, the great Latin poet. Finally, Aeneas settled in Italy, where he made friends, married a king's daughter, and founded a colony. Among his descendants were 2 brothers, Romulus and Numitor. The older one, Numitor, became king and a gentle ruler, but his brother, who was crafty and cruel, schemed to get the throne, first by trickery, then by force. Romulus seized power and drove Numitor out of the royal house. To make sure that there would be no heirs to claim their rights, he put Numitor's son to death. He wanted to go away with Numitor's daughter Sylvia, but he was afraid that the people would rise against him if he had her killed. Instead, he did what he thought was a clever thing. He had her appointed a priestess of Vesta, for those who take care of the temple of Vesta are forbidden to marry. And so he assured himself that there would be no children to dispute his kingship. But Amulius's plan miscarried, or backfired, in today's terms. Out of the forest came a man. He was stern and mighty of muscle, fierce but fascinating. By his side there walked a wolf, and a woodpecker sat on his shoulder. He saw Sylvia and fell in love with her. She returned his love. She did not know it, but he was a god in disguise, Mars, the god of war. She bore him 2 sons, Romulus and Remus. Furious at first, William Mullis, saw how he could benefit by what had happened. Now he had a good excuse to get rid of the last threat to his throne. He had Sylvia thrown in the prison and given orders that her children should be adrift. Should we set adrift? My bad. On the Tiber River. Even in this act, Amulius was crafty. He saw that the 2 babes were put into a shallow basket and floated down the roaring in the Tiber when it was at flood tide. If the basket sinks, he said, let them swim. If they drown, it will not be my fault. The river will be to blame, not me. The river rose higher than he ever imagined. It rose so high and fast that before the basket could sink, it was washed ashore. There on the muddy banks of the Tiber, caught in the weeds, the infants lay, shivering with cold and crying with hunger. Their cries were heard not by a human but by a wandering animal, a she-wolf, who had come down to the river to drink. She took pity on the babe, so held it so homeless and so hopeless. She gave them milk. She carried them to her cave in the woods and cared for them. As they began to grow, a woodpecker made its home in a nearby tree. From time to time, brought berries. Brought berries to add to their food. The god of war must have smiled. So Romulus and Remus, a group like a part of the she-wolf family, they drink her milk, played with the cubs, and shared whatever the mother brought in. They grew bolder, stronger, and more cunning than any of the young wolves in the wood. One fall, hunters came through the forest with dogs and daggers and surrounded the pack. The wolf boys were not to be caught. They slipped through the circle and found a cave of their own. There they were discovered by a shepherd who was looking for a stray sheep. They snarled and bared their teeth at him, but he seized them by the hair and, though they squirmed and clawed, he brought them back to his home. "Here," he said to his wife, "you have always wanted children, and we have any. I'm not even sure these two are human, but whatever they are, here they are. Do you want to keep them, or shall I let them loose?" She looked at him. She was not, she was not frightened. They looked at her, and they stopped snarling and rubbed their eyes. "I think I want to keep them," she said, and rubbed against her other. My bad. I'm sorry. Okay. "I think I want to keep them," she said. "Then I think they'll want to stay." They stayed. For a while they were savage. They pounced upon their food, stepped, crawled up in dark corners, and howled at the full moon. They were always on the heels of the shepherd's wife, following her wherever she went like a couple of faithful dogs. She was patient. She showed them how to act like human beings. She tamed them quietly and taught them with the language of love. Gradually, they lost their wildness. They learned to talk. They learned what to do with their hands, and how to walk out with their and how to walk things out with their heads. They grew slim and tall and fair. As they stayed in young manhood, they became expert shepherds. I'm sorry, I'm not announcing the stuff that well today. With an understanding and nature they had learned from the she-wolf, the she-wolf, and the authority that they had inherited from their royal ancestors. They became the leaders of all the husband in the neighborhood. There were quarrels with other groups of shepherds and fights with gangs of robbers, but the brothers were always victorious. However, one day they were separated. The loud band of marauders took Remus by surprise. They captured his flock of sheep and delivered him to King Romulus for ransom. When Romulus learned what had happened, he ran to his foster father. "I was afraid there's something like this," said the old shepherd. I have been troubled about you for a long time. You have always been strange. You must realize you are not like the others. Who are we then?" he asked Romulus. Romulus. "I'm not sure," said the shepherd, but I have an idea. When you learned to talk, you told me a queer tale. You remembered that you had been cared for by a she-wolf in a shelter near the Tiber. At first, this seemed impossible. Then I too remembered something. I remembered a rumor. The King Romulus had taken the throne away from his brother Numitor. That he had imprisoned or done away the Numitor's daughter to Sylvia, and carried her off, and carried it off her two sons, twins according to the story, and cast them down the river. I found you and your twin brother not far from the river, and not long after the two infants were supposed to have been thrown into it. Romulus stared. You stared. You mean you think Remus and I? What else is there to think? Replied the shepherd. I think I'd like to guess. You know who you are. Also, I think you might also have. I think you might have a talk with King Amulius. Better still, with your grandfather Numitor. I think it's time for you to do something about it. The next day, Romulus sought out Numitor in his exile. He told him all there was to tell. The ex-monarch looked at the youth a long time before he spoke. Yes, he said finally, there is no question about it. You are you are of the true blood, the lineage of Aeneas. You are my grandson, and your brother's the prisoner of Amulius, the tyrant who tried to kill you both, who robbed me of my throne. Yet knowing all this, what can you do? I can topple him from his throne, said Romulus. Right must prevail, perhaps, said the Numitor doubtfully. But how will you do it alone? I can't count on my friends. The shepherds will help me. Shepherds? Numitor lifted an eyebrow. Shepherds with soldiers. And with what weapons? Sticks, stones, clubs, shepherd crooks. Anything we can lay our hands on. Stout-hearted though Romulus was, he knew his band was no match for the trained troops of Amulius. So at night, when the shepherds, together with some of Numitor's staff, were assembled in the dark woods, Romulus devised a strategy. He gave an order that the Numitor's men should dash towards the citadel and contain the treasury, rushing with fierce cries and flaming torches. Thinking the citadel was the center of the attack, the guards left the king's house to protect the treasury. At that moment, Romulus and his shepherds streamed out of the woods, broke down the gates of Amulius' house. Overpowered the remaining the soldiers and rescued Remus. Together, the brothers ran through the rooms, smashed the doors of the royal private chambers, and slew the treacherous king. Again, the god of war must have smiled, this time with pride. The fight lasted less than an hour. Peace was restored. Numitor was declared king, and with a peaceful ceremony established in his rightful place. Romulus and Remus were acknowledged as the princes, heroic heirs to the throne. United, they swore allegiance to their royal grandfather. But life at court was not to their liking. It was too tame, too tiresome. There was still a trace of wildness in their blood. They were restless, wanted something greatly, though they did not know what it was. Suddenly they knew. They wanted to found a city of their own. They even knew where it should be. They would build it on the banks of the Tiber, the very place where they had been left to die. Gathering their men about them, they set out to find the best place for the first foundation. They wanted for a sign, they waited to have the first sign. Remus stood on one hill, Romulus on another. To Remus came the first sign. 6 vultures flying overhead. It was a good omen, for the vulture was a sacred bird. A bird that did not kill but fed only on the dead. It was a bird offered up for important sacrifices. We will build here, cried Remus. But before the six wolves was soared away, another group came out of the heavens and circled above Romulus. This time there were 12. The right place is here, shouted to Romulus. Those who stood around Remus claimed that since he had seen the birds first, the city should be built where he wished. That Remus should be its first king. Those who Romulus insisted that since he had seen the greater number, this proved that he was a favorite by the gods, and it was Romulus who should rule. Both groups argued loud and long. The voices grew angrier. The dispute led to violent conflict. And then fighting, Remus was slain. Romulus was aghast at what had happened. He tore his clothes in anguish. He bathed the body of Remus with his tears and threatened to kill himself. But the men consoled him, blaming themselves for the tragedy. At last, they succeeded in arousing him from despair. It made him realize that they had come here for a purpose, that there was a work to be done, the city to be built. But it was like a proud city on 7 hills. Well, it was a city whose first king was Romulus. It was named for him, Rome. There Romulus lived and ruled and fought to preserve the city until his death. Before the end, he gathered his people around him and addressed them. "Our city," he said, "shall one day be the greatest city in the world. Let your children teach their children in the way of peace and the art of war, so that no human strength can ever break the power of the Roman spirit." Then he died. They buried him in a marble sarcophagus, carved with a design showing a basket floating on the river, like a she-wolf suckling 2 little twins. Shepherd and his wife, and intertwined in all these helmets and swords and spears and all the properties of the god of war. On the monument, the place of vulture, the bird of sacrifice, the sacred bird that had shown Romulus the site of his city. Years passed. The years grew into centuries piled upon each other. The dust of the time sifted over the earth and into men's minds. People began to think of Romulus and Remus as legendary figures, myths rather than men. They doubted that there was any truth at all in their story. Then one day, in 1958, more than 2,000 years had gone by. Dug up an ancient site in the Roman Forum. It was thought to be the burial place of Romulus, though further evidence was needed to make certain. They found a marble coffin with traces of carving, but the strangest piece of evidence was a scattering of sacrificial bones upon the tomb. Scientists identified the bones. They were the bones of a bird, the bones of a vulture. I hope you all enjoyed this video, which I'm assuming at this point is like a bit long, or not, well, long as in like longer, or like as long as longer than I can only like make like future tales. Anyway, so I'm hoping to get like a few more videos out this weekend, and anyway, like see y'all in the next one. Bye.